Hola, comrades! Today's topic of interest, Pokémon Gold and Silver. After the runaway success of Red and Blue, which have to date sold tens of millions of copies worldwide, a sequel was inevitable. Interestingly, development on Gold and Silver started soon after the first Pokémon games were released in Japan, but took more than 3 years. It was not until November 1999 that the games were released in Japan, and they were released in America almost a year later. When audiences worldwide got their hands on these fabled sequels, they got more than they bargained for. Speculation had been raging about these games before much was even known about them, and as this was the turn of the millennium, online speculation got out of hand. Discussion about these games dominated the web, and false rumors weren't as easily debunked as they are today. To match the hype, these games would have to deliver in a titanic way, and that they did. There is a reason these games have garnered such critical acclaim, with some calling them the best games in the series. The first generation of Pokémon was revolutionary, but there were major flaws. For one, the games were terribly broken. If you had a psychic type, you could roll through nigh unopposed. But my favorite factoid is this: critical hits were tied to speed, meaning if you had a Pokémon with high speed and you used a move with a high likelihood of critting, say a Persian with Slash, you would almost be guaranteed a crit. Gold and Silver fixed these flaws and added series-defining new mechanics, such as breeding, the day-night cycle, gender, separate special attack and special defense stats, and 2 new types, Dark and Steel. The first games set the foundation, but Gold and Silver built off that foundation to form a refined version of that scintillating Pokémon formula. It is thus ironic that these were originally planned to be the last games of the series. I'd like to see an alternate universe where that was the case. Walking away from a franchise this big seems absurd, but I imagine if it did happen, it would be much easier to categorize Pokémon as merely a 90s fad. Perhaps because these were supposed to be the last games, they are chock full of content, including the biggest twist in series history, one of the biggest in gaming history. After beating the Elite Four and the champion, you get to go to Kanto. Put yourself in the mind of an 11 or 12-year-old playing through these games upon release. You might have heard from one of your friends that you could go to Kanto, but you don't really believe them. After all, a couple years ago they told you that you could catch Pika-Blue if you caught all the legendary birds and Mewtwo at full health. So, you beat Lance and his Dragonite heavy team after 2 or 3 attempts at the Elite Four, and then you're ready to play something different when you discover that you really can go to Kanto. Your friend was telling the truth. You can't believe it. You're taken aback. You're ecstatic. Including Kanto was not planned from the start, but it adds an entirely new dimension to the game. In every generation since, you've had theories swirling around about being able to go to past regions, and it makes sense why. There's the nostalgia factor, of course, but there's something deeper at play as well. The Pokémon world is one of the most immersive in gaming, and unlike other immersive worlds, it's a place you want to go. It runs on hope and dreams and friendship to an exaggerated degree. Enough so that it would be comical if it weren't so earnest. Our world is not like that. To be honest, our world is kind of miserable. We want to escape to the Pokémon world. If not to live there, then at least take a vacation. And so it is natural that we want to explore it in full, to see all that can be seen. We have the pieces the series has given us, but they're not assembled. We can't explore the world in fullness, even when we're playing the games. But for Gold and Silver, that barrier was lifted. When we stepped into Kanto, we were stepping into a familiar region, but equally important is what we were stepping out of, the limitations we believed we were trapped in. Good games give you what you want, but great games make you want more. great games expand your horizon, raise your expectations. Here, no longer were you confined to a single region. You could explore what was then more or less the entirety of the Pokémon world. That symbolizes what Gold and Silver are as games and what makes them so great. They expand on their predecessors in almost every way. They are bigger, more ambitious, more creative. They are what video game sequels should be. When you reach Kanto, it looks different than it did on your last Odyssey. It has been 3 years since the original games, and you can feel the passage of time. There's less to see in this more run-down Kanto. It's like this because of technical limitations, but the effect it creates is one of sorrow and mourning. The Safari Zone has been closed. Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town, which I must remind you was where dead Pokemon were laid to rest, has been turned into a radio tower. Cinnabar Island was destroyed in the eruption of a volcano, and the gym was moved to the previously untouched Seafoam Islands. Not every change is negative. The Kanto power plant, run down in the first games, is now fully operational. The Viridian Gym, once the home of Team Rocket's boss, Giovanni, is run by an older and more mature Blue. And with the promotion of Koga to the Elite Four, his daughter Janine has taken over the gym in Fuchsia City. But the overall effect of the changes in Kanto, and this is quite stark in comparison with the cultural and spiritual mecca that is the Johto region, Ekritique City in particular, is that of a region that is losing its traditional and natural past in favor of machinery and technology. You can explore more of the world, but you might not like what you find. That's an interesting caveat. What if you returned to Hoenn in Sun and Moon and found that it had been devastated by natural disasters? The state of Kanto is even worse because you know what it was like before. You explored it then, so its current state hits you harder, but that doesn't make it any less cool to go back to your old stomping grounds. There's a forbidden touch to it, as if by exploring Kanto, you're committing an illegal act. A normal post-game in Pokemon is a few new objectives, a few new legendaries to catch. The keyword is few. In Gold and Silver, the size of the game is double what it appears to be. It's like a magic trick, or like you're getting 2 games for the price of 1. Most twists in games aim to drastically recontextualize what has already been given to you, to make you doubt yourself, to give your journey more layers. This twist, however, is entirely positive. It fills you with pure elation. Gaming is attractive because it provides a new world to explore and lose yourself in. But like in the real world, there are limits. What this twist accomplishes is making you feel like there are no limits. For that resplendent moment, as you discover that you can go to Kanto, nothing seems impossible. Pokemon has always fascinated me, and I don't think that will change anytime soon. If you liked what you saw today, consider donating to my Patreon so I can produce more amazing content. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff. Adios!